The dust settled, but the truth remained suspended, an ancient secret clinging to the very mortar of our ancestral home. I thought I was renovating a house. Instead, I was excavating a lie, layer by agonizing layer, each hammer blow echoing a deeper betrayal. Beneath the peeling wallpaper and the scent of forgotten lives, something sinister awaited. It wasn't a ghost in the traditional sense, but the chilling specter of a past intentionally buried, screaming from the silent confines of the old stone. My name is Elias Thorne, and this is the story of how a summer project transformed into a descent into my family's darkest chapter. What began as an innocent endeavor to restore my late grandmother's dilapidated house soon became an unsettling excavation of a truth more terrifying than any ghost story. It shattered the very foundations of my lineage. The Thorne family estate, nestled deep within the whispering woods of Blackwood Hollow, had always been a place of shadowed reverence. For generations, stories of its eccentric inhabitants, its hidden nooks, and the melancholic beauty of its overgrown gardens filled my childhood. After my grandmother's passing, the house stood silent, a mausoleum of memories, until I, a fledgling architect with more ambition than experience, decided to breathe new life into its decaying bones. I envisioned restoring its grandeur, transforming it from a crumbling relic into a testament to our family's enduring legacy. The initial weeks were a whirlwind of dust and debris, the rhythmic clang of tools against aged plaster a comforting symphony. Each removed panel, each stripped floorboard, revealed not just the house's underlying structure, but a deeper sense of connection to those who had walked its halls before me. I cherished the quiet moments, imagining my grandmother, a woman of stern elegance, moving through these very rooms, her life's tapestry woven into the very fabric of the estate. The library, however, was different. It possessed an oppressive stillness, a weight that even the brightest afternoon sun struggled to penetrate. Dust motes danced in the sparse beams of light, illuminating rows of ancient leather-bound tomes, their pages brittle with age and disuse. My grandmother had rarely spoken of this room, dismissing it with a vague wave of her hand whenever its subject arose. It was a place of quiet contemplation, she'd say, but her tone always carried an undertone of something else, perhaps regret or a guarded sorrow. One sweltering afternoon, while attempting to dislodge a particularly stubborn bookcase from the wall, a faint metallic rasp caught my attention. It wasn't the sound of wood on wood, or plaster crumbling, but something distinctly alien to the house's organic decay. My curiosity, a trait both inherited and honed, took hold. Behind the heavy oak, where the wall met the floorboards, a barely visible hairline crack snaked through the plaster, hinting at a hidden cavity. My heart quickened with a peculiar blend of apprehension and excitement. Growing up, tales of secret passages and hidden rooms were staples of childhood fantasy, fueled by the house's labyrinthine layout. Could it be true? With a pry bar, I carefully widened the crack, revealing not a grand secret chamber, but a small, dark recess, just large enough for a hand. The air that rushed out was cold and stale, carrying with it the unmistakable scent of old paper and something else, something faintly metallic, like rusted iron and dried blood. My fingers, trembling slightly, probed the darkness, brushing against a rough wooden surface. I pulled out a small, intricately carved wooden box, no larger than a shoebox, its surface smooth under my touch despite the years of concealment. It was locked, secured by a tarnished brass clasp, and surprisingly heavy. The weight suggested not jewels or gold, but something dense, perhaps iron or lead. Returning to the sunlit, though still dust-filled living room, I laid the box on a makeshift workbench. The lock was stubborn, refusing to yield to brute force. I eventually had to pry it open, the sound of the metal groaning echoing in the quiet house. Inside, nestled on a bed of faded velvet, lay not one, but two items. The first was a thick leather-bound journal, its pages yellowed and brittle, filled with elegant sloping script. The second, lying beside it, was a single tarnished silver locket. It was simple, unadorned, save for a small, almost imperceptible engraving on its back. A single, intertwined initial. AG. A chill snaked down my spine. This wasn't a family heirloom I recognized. The journal, with its ominous presence, beckoned, promising to unravel a truth far more profound than any I could have imagined. I knew with a certainty that settled deep in my bones that opening it would change everything. The journal lay heavy in my hands, its cover cold and unforgiving, a silent testament to secrets long kept. My initial excitement had given way to a creeping dread. The air in the house seemed to thicken, the whispers of the wind outside the windows now sounding like hushed, anxious breaths. I opened the first page, the brittle paper crinkling with a protest that felt almost alive. The handwriting was meticulous, each letter formed with a precision that belied the turmoil surely contained within its lines. The date at the top read, October 1898. This immediately caught my attention. My grandmother had been born in the early 1900s, meaning this journal belonged to an earlier generation, a forgotten ancestor whose story was now laid bare before me. The author, as revealed on the second page, was a woman named Eleanor Thorne, my great-great-aunt, a name I barely recalled from a dusty old family tree chart. My grandmother had never spoken of an Eleanor. It was as if she had been purposefully erased from our lineage. Eleanor's first entries painted a picture of a quiet, isolated life in the very house I was renovating. She wrote of her duties, the changing seasons, and the pervasive loneliness that seemed to cling to the estate like ivy. Her words were laced with a deep melancholia, a sense of quiet desperation that resonated through the decades. But as I turned the pages, a darker narrative began to emerge. Her entries grew more frantic, the elegant script occasionally giving way to hurried, desperate scrawls. She wrote of whispers in the night, of fleeting shadows, and a growing sense of being watched, not by a supernatural entity, but by something far more sinister and human within the walls of her own home. She spoke of her brother, Arthur, a man whose name was mentioned with a chilling mix of adoration and fear. Arthur, she described, was brilliant yet possessive, his charm a thin veil over a volatile, unpredictable nature. Then came the entries detailing the arrival of a new governess for their younger sister, Clara. Her name was Amelia Greer, the initials AG on the locket, a realization that sent a jolt of ice through my veins. Eleanor initially described Amelia with warmth and admiration, noting her kindness, her beautiful singing voice, and her uncanny ability to bring light into the otherwise somber house. A genuine friendship, perhaps even something more, seemed to blossom between the two women. But Arthur, Eleanor noted with increasing alarm, grew possessive, his gaze lingering on Amelia with an intensity that made Eleanor uneasy. He began to isolate Amelia, subtly at first, then more overtly, creating a web of manipulation that ensnared the kind governess. Eleanor's entries became a desperate chronicle of Arthur's escalating jealousy and cruelty, his calculated efforts to control every aspect of Amelia's life within the confines of the estate. The final entries were terrifying. Eleanor described a terrifying confrontation, a night of screams and a chilling silence that followed. She wrote of Arthur's dark victory, of Amelia's disappearance, and of the elaborate cover-up that was orchestrated to silence any questions. The most horrifying revelation was the location of Amelia's final resting place, a secret cavity behind the very library bookcase from which I had retrieved the journal. My grandmother, Eleanor's sister Clara, was only a child then, but she must have known, or at least suspected. The weight of this knowledge, this unspeakable act, explained her silence, the somber atmosphere of the library, and the palpable secrets that permeated the very foundations of the house. I wasn't just holding a journal. I was holding a confession, a testament to murder and deceit, a dark legacy that had been deliberately uncovered by my own hands. My family wasn't just eccentric. They harbored a killer, and I had just found the evidence. If this story resonated with you, and if you believe that every truth deserves to be heard, please consider joining our community. Like this video to show your support, and subscribe to Real Story Uncovered for more emotional and dramatic narratives that expose the raw, unfiltered truth. And as a final thought, Leave a comment below telling us what city and country you're watching from. Your story, your location, they matter too. Until next time, stay curious.